Welcome to the 30th anniversary of Real Affirmations LGBTQ Plus International Film Festival, held October 20th through 22nd, 2023, in our nation's capital. This year's historical film festival presents 58 new, retro, and compelling international, documentary, short, and feature films from 22 countries. 32 films will screen live at the state-of-the-art movie theater inside the Eaton Hotel, 1201 K Street Northwest in DC. And 43 films can be screened virtually from the comfort of your home or on that long commute. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have one of our filmmakers to give us a behind-the-scenes peek at their inspiration, their process, and any anecdotal experiences in making Dilating for Maximum Results. Isn't that a great title? Welcome, Nyala Moon. Tell us where you're joining us from and how you would introduce your film.
I'm joining you from Brooklyn. I know I'm dressed probably not like it's freezing outside, but it is. My apartment is just nice and toasty. I think that was a great introduction to my film, but I guess you would like me to give you a short synopsis, right?
No, I'll just dive right on in with a series of questions because I have some. First of all,
okay, yeah.
Let me say that Drea is the most adorable girl ever. Where did you find her? How did you cast her?
The character of Drea, I really was super interested in like anime culture because I love anime and I was interested in anime culture, and I was also interested in like portraying like a quirky Black girl on screen. And so when I was writing the character, I was like, wow, this is like kind of something that I am, personally a quirky Black girl, and I kind of wanted to like talk about like or portray on film that kind of like experience of like and particularly a Black trans woman too, because I know there's like a lot of Black quirky trans women, and I wanted to like give them a little representation. So that's how I found the character in the writing.
She is so adorable. I was like, oh, that could be my brown skinned daughter. Can I just take her home with me? It's so funny that you mentioned anime because one of my questions was about the set. Was it were you on set in an apartment, or were they just vignettes set up because they were so vibrant? They reminded me of anime.
Yeah, I worked with so it was in an apartment. My producer, Sam, she found an apartment, and it was really serendipitous because the apartment kind of worked for the vibe that we was going for. And then Joanna Wang, who was my production designer, who I went to graduate school with, we went to film school, but she's a graphic designer by trade, and she has like an impeccable eye, and I've worked with her multiple times before. And I was just like, can you like push this with this is our budget, can you make this happen? And she made it happen. And I was really excited because with my past film, How Not to Date with Trans, like it was kind of mostly exterior. So like I didn't have like the opportunity to like just like go into a space and create it into like a different kind of world and make it pop. And that also helped with like the color correction too, because my friend who I also went to school with, Yibing Su, AB, he did the color correction, and I wanted it to be really vibrant, and I wanted it to be really colorful and really create like a world that so many people love that world, and they love the visual aspects of the film a lot. And I'm really happy because we worked hard on it. So it's really nice to see that people saw that and people really like connected to that.
Oh, I think our patrons are going to enjoy this because we could see Drea being an actual cartoon character in a, in a cartoon book or a longer anime story, using that set and just her quirkiness. It was just so entertaining. I was waiting for, how like the Spider-Man went from human to animation. It was
Yeah,
like any minute I was waiting for the animation just to turn it, come up, because it was so clearly communicated in that.
thank you.
Um, so tell me a little bit more about, are there any other films that inspired you to make this film, or is it personal reflection, or just anything about the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so I am a huge fan of Edgar Wright. I love his work. He did Shaun of the Dead. I'm blanking on the director of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but I was really into that aesthetic, and I really kind of wanted to like tell us an irreverent comedy about like a woman going through something as serious as dilation. And I felt that in like the sphere in our social political world, being trans is such like a hot button issue. And of course, like trans people, we deserve all of our rights and access. But I also kind of wanted to have fun with it because growing up, I didn't see like fun representations of trans people. It was like sex work. You're going to die at 34, Jerry Springer. So I kind of wanted to like create something that other trans people could see and they could enjoy and actually be entertained by the subject matter, because a lot of times now trans content, and there's been a lot of like progression in the world of film, but a lot of times now it's kind of fun, right? When we watch
Yeah,
stuff about trans
yeah,
people,
yeah.
we're just like, damn, they living hard. So I kind of wanted to like, have some kind of counterculture to what's out there.
Exactly. And I think that's real life, because I think within the LGBTQ community, we see more joy. And so
Mhm.
we get some of that joy, but I've never seen it on the big screen to
Yeah.
this capacity. And so it's very entertaining to see that. Now, I think if I missed it in the credits, it's because I was still laughing and reflecting. But are the assistive devices sponsored, or did you have to buy them all?
What assistive devices?
The dilators.
Oh, girl, they're my dilators. I had to dust them off and use them. They're not sponsored. I actually got them from my surgeon. And so when we were working with them, I gave it to Joanne, who also did our props for the film. And I was like, do not lose this. I may need this. Oh, this is my personal. So no, they're not sponsored. I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have thought of that, but I was just like, no, I'm just going to use mine, clean them. Here, they're good to go. We're going to use it.
Oh, because again, because they were so colorful and vibrant and matched the intensity, not only of the story, but also of the bedroom, the makeup counter, the till room. All of that was just I just said, oh man, that has to be a great plug for somebody. And I wanted you to make sure you made it. But
Oh my
next
God.
time,
No, thank you for telling me that. I'm gonna do that next time. I was just like, this movie needs to be made. I was just like, I'm just gonna make it. I'm gonna use whatever I have and we're gonna do it. But I probably need to get more smarter about business plugs and stuff in my work.
yes, and you need a sponsor for that, for the telephone, for the smartphones, because that played, it was like the smartphone was as much of a character as your friend was.
Yeah.
I just loved that, linking our worlds in that way, and how much we connect to our communities through social media, and how many times the phone is in our hand. So it was like I just knew that phone had a name, as well as the friend that was coming through. So yeah, get you a sponsor for the phone, and the assistive devices.
Yeah.
So without giving any spoilers, what other relevant themes, other than transvisibility and joy, would you say emerges from this film?
Um, I'm I always like slice of life stuff, and I always like in slice of life films, it's kind of true to reality. Like we we are always juggling like, you know, happiness along with sadness, along with loneliness, along with like lack of connection, especially now in this social media age. And so I really wanted to like incorporate how it's connecting, but it's also distancing, you know,
Mhm.
in a sense. And even with Drea and her partner, like in the film, they've never met in person. And yeah, and sometimes for people, that's the reality of their experience, you know, like that they meet people and they never meet in person. And it could be a lot of times it could be like because of interpersonal struggles that they're going through. So I wanted to like have like a film that was so vibrant and colorful and happy and funny, but I also wanted to like subtextually talk about loneliness and like lack of connection and kind of how now, you know, we have more anxiety because we live in a digital age to meet people in person
Mhm.
and connect with them in person. So that's probably the subtextual theme of the film.
And I think that's going to be a relevant theme, regardless of one's sexuality or gender identity, because we're such a social media driven or a groomed culture. And so the heightened awareness of, am I going to be perfect? Do I, do I present like my avatar, or do I use too many filters, or what if this scar shows, or what if that scar shows? So that was definitely, I think, an idea that is going to that is universal, if you will, in a way that we should all talk more about. Um, One of the scenes that meant a lot to me was when the partner finally walks in,
Mhm.
and I was relieved that he had a level of quirkiness as she did.
Mhm.
So it was as if spirit pulled them together. And I mean, he's cute as a button, but you could actually feel like that's exactly who I imagined she was talking to. I could feel his
Yeah.
sweetness. I could feel um, his awkwardness. But let me tell you, you did him dirty
Why?
when you gave when you gave blank minutes and seconds later.
Oh, because I mean, you know, sometimes it be like that. Sometimes, you know, it's been a long time of like expectation and anticipation. And, you know, sometimes when you get up to pitch, you know, for both of them, you know, it just, you know, sometimes you're better the second time around, you know.
That
So
was so adorable. And then I was like, I was so on his side. I was like, not after this long time. But even that added to the quirkiness or the anime factor, the overlay titles, as well as the moments where they were inserted into the film. So that was just so adorable. And were there any bloopers? Because in making comedy, in making dramas, there are always funny bloopers. So in making a comedy, were there comedic or dramatic bloopers?
oh, I mean, there were definitely comedic bloopers. I what was really exciting for me to work on this project and it kind of being its own thing in terms of like the story, you know. I was really I was really like excited to see that my crew was laughing as we were working on the project. So for me, I was just like, I wasn't in like blooper mode. I was like, we need, because we had a lot of shots. I'm like, we need to execute. So I was just like, execute, execute, execute. But then to see my crew was like really having a good time and laughing, I was like, oh my God, I wish we could have captured that because they were just having a great time. And I love that because sometimes sets can be really serious. It was a few dramatic bloopers in some points because like again, like we were working on not a lot of money. So like I had to make decisions like you know, really quickly, because when you're making stuff, you know, like film, there's always something going to go wrong. And there's always like split decisions, you know, where you have to kill your darlings, and you have to you have to just go with, you know, what the opportunity that's presented to you. So there was a lot of moments of me like thinking of me drinking a lot of Red Bull. I told my producers, like, look, I probably am not going to eat. I'm going to drink a lot of Red Bull. Please forgive me. There was a lot of moments of me in the corner, you know, like hoping everything works out. So I think probably a lot of bloopers. The after party was fun though. Once we wrapped, we kind of like partied. So that was fun to like hang out with everyone.
I'm sure you did exhale. You've mentioned your crew kind of offhandedly a couple of times. Tell me more about who was on your crew. I know you mentioned two that you went to school with, but who else like was there with you?
Yeah, honestly, most of my crew were people who I went to school with, which it's really exciting for me because I was able to go to school and like find community with people and find people who are willing to work with me and you know get me, and also like I'm willing to work with them and get them. And I mean, I love working with them. Like one of the producers I went to school with, another one of the producers, we became really cool through a festival. They're a great producer, and their partner is also like creates really great films. The DP, we went to the same school together, different years, but same schools. My camera people, we went to school together. A lot of people were like, it was made really like through people who I known or person someone else was bringing in. So it really did feel like family on set, which is kind of really important to me because I've worked on like sets where it's just like you can tell everyone hates it there. No one is talking to anyone. People are just getting the job done. And for me, I kind of like to like take care of my crew, and it's kind of for me it's easier to take care of, you know, like you should always take care of everyone, but your friends, you know, you definitely want to take care of them. So I it's just really important to me to like work with people who get it, and also who, you know, like where I'm close to help create this, because it's for me it's such a creating film. I was reading this quote, and it was by a Thai filmmaker who made Uncle Boomy sees his past lives, and I can't pronounce his name. I'm going to butcher his name. He goes by Joe, but that's his like anglicized name. But he said a quote that making films is like, you know, giving birth in a sense, you know, and that a lot of times, and I've never given birth, but there's a lot of anxiety in how like the world will receive your child.
Mhm.
So for me, it's really important just to work with people who, you know, get me and get my child. It's just essentially my village.
Mhm. That's beautiful. So now they are all christened as godparents
They are
of the
godparents.
project.
They are godparents.
That is so sweet. Um, what tips can you give emerging filmmakers um, about getting past that? Like, should I or shouldn't I? Or I just have to tell the story? Or do I want to be this vulnerable? Any tips you can give emerging filmmakers who are sitting where you were on the side of the bed that says, "Oh, I'm going to do this."
Yeah, I think that one thing about filmmaking that's not talked about a lot because it's become really commercialized is one, I mean, we know it's an art form, but it's also like an artistic practice.
Mhm.
And you to get better, you just have to keep doing the thing, you know, you just have to keep learning and growing. Like again, I was watching this video and it was talking about why singers in like back in the day had like such huge vocal ranges versus now. And it said that a lot of the singers grew up in church, and
Mhm.
that they were hitting their 5,000 hours of like actual practice to become the great, like Aretha Franklin, you know, grew up in the church, you know, Whitney Houston grew up in the church. Like a lot of these like great phenomenal singers had had spent a lot of time developing their craft. And I think that the time you spend like wondering if you should do it or not is time you're taking away from actually, you know, mastering your craft. And I think that first you have to get over your first film is probably always going to be bad. Your second film probably will be bad too. And then you just keep going and you keep learning stuff and you keep developing the craft, and eventually, you know, you'll get better at it and you'll develop your own point of view and your voice. But you just need to take the risk and do it, you know, despite what people may think. Because I went to grad school for film, but also I started filmmaking in undergrad. And and I studied business. I knew nothing about film. All I knew is that I wanted to tell a story. And I, with my friends in business school, I was like, let's make a film. Can you, like, will you help me? And they were just like, yeah, let's do it. And that first film I made so many mistakes. I didn't get into any festivals. Like it didn't work out well at all, but I learned a lot. And then I made another one. Then I worked with other people on other projects, and I kept flexing my artistic muscle. And that kind of is the most important thing, because if when you learn to flex your artistic muscle, then you can create your own voice, you know, and your own point of view, which honestly, you probably already have your own voice and point of view from the beginning, but you just need to build the basics to get there, to show it.
And that's really good advice for any artist, whether it is a visual artist such as acrylics, I mean painting, or even writing poetry, or you know, or novels. That's a very good synopsis of what it takes for us to move out of our head into giving life to our babies, and so that's amazing. Is there any? You have any last words or anything you'd like to leave with us?
No. Thank you for selecting the film and screening the film. I am incredibly honored and thankful that my work is being able to be screened and shown, and people are resonating with it. That is honestly the most important thing for me, is to have people see it and connect with it. And I always love like cinema that gives me an emotional reaction, you know, like I want to feel catharsis. And I'm happy that my work is having that moment with people. So I'm incredibly thankful to be doing this. And yeah, hit me up online if you have any thoughts.
How do you want them to follow you online?
So so I have a film page, which is Nyala Moon Films. And then I have my personal page where I kind of, you know, am just like a regular person. So you can follow either pages, and yeah, drop me a line and, you know, and say
Who
hi.
knows? They may be the inspiration for the next story.
Yeah, they might be. I love, you know, I mean, I think it's all cyclical. So like art is like, you know, like observing the world, taking it in, and then putting it back out. So yeah.
Well, Nyala Moon, thank you so much for taking a very serious subject and having us roll in the aisle. This was absolute genius to take something so serious and not make fun of the character or the process, but to give levity to a reality. And so we appreciate you. Listen, Dilating for maximum results can be found in our virtual screenings under comedy. And so make sure you look for the comedy tab and take some time to really enjoy this story. Tickets for the festival can be purchased at the dccenter.org/real affirmations, and expect all the feels, y'all. We're going to laugh, cry, have reflection, and even sit in awe. On behalf of Kimberly Bush, the director of the DC Center and Real Affirmations, we invite you to join us for this iconic film experience. Signing off with immense gratitude to our filmmakers, supportive patrons, and our August roster of sponsors: Muriel Bowser's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, Gilead, AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Wegmans, and Tito's. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the movies.